And it shut down. Hey guys, future Omar here. Just got back from actually making this video, and just a heads up, this thing lasted about 7 minutes before it overheated, and I wasn't able to turn it on for another maybe 15 minutes. So I'm going to edit the video as it was intended, and I actually thought this was a good camera since I used it for just a few minutes at a time when I was indoors. But it's like 85 degrees out here today. This is a piece of crap. Don't buy it. It's a $750 brick. It is kind of disrespectful that they released it to the masses. I have absolutely no idea how it made it out of QA. I think the overheating issues that we've heard online have actually been understated, because this is the first time since I've picked up a camera to start making videos like 5 years ago that I've ever had an issue using a camera. I've never been locked out of a camera before. And it was pretty frustrating, and it was just me making a review. I can't imagine actually being outdoors and wanting to film something specific, or something was happening and I had to catch it real quick and I wouldn't be able to use this camera. Disappointing. We've been waiting for this for years, and it's just disappointing. The mic jack finally came. And it's not usable, and I understand that maybe in 1080 it probably won't have that issue, but then why even include the 4K? We're already compromising a lot at this price point. You know, we're already making a lot of compromises with this camera. No phase detection on it. DPAF, it still has like old contrast-based autofocus, which isn't that bad, but coupled with the fact that it overheats at 4K, and 2019, if you want videos, if you want to shoot your videos and you want to be able to recall them in a few years, you're going to need to start shooting them in 4K. Yeah, 4K isn't super important, but for preservation purposes nowadays, where 4K, and now we have a lot of 8K stuff out nowadays, now's the point where you want to start using 4K. And again, they sold it. Very, very, very disappointed with Canon on this. Started out with Canon. I built my current career on the G7X Mark II. That's how I got my first job. It was when I showed them videos that I made on that thing. And this is just a huge, let me get out of the street, huge letdown, huge letdown. And anyone who buys this and it doesn't really use it for video outside of within the return period, they're not going to know to return it. So warning, heads up, return this thing. It's they should honestly just recall it at this point. Either that or they should just release a firmware update that actually disables the 4K or whatever it is that's causing the overheating, because it's not it is not usable as is. This is not a final product. If this were a beta product, I'd understand it. But it's not a beta product. It's not a Kickstarter project. It's something that was sold. It's a camera that was sold in stores for $750 to a bunch of people who are expecting to have access to a camera with the listed features without any real issues. The fact that it didn't even make it to the 10-minute record limit is absurd. That being said, check out this video where I started off as a fan of this camera. Here's that. You know, we're already making a lot of compromises with this camera. No phase detection on it. DPAF, it still has like old contrast-based autofocus, which isn't that bad, but coupled with the fact that it overheats at 4K, and 2019, if you want videos, if you want to shoot your videos and you want to be able to recall them in a few years, you're going to need to start shooting them in 4K. Yeah, 4K isn't super important, but for preservation purposes nowadays, where 4K, and now we have a lot of 8K stuff out nowadays, now's the point where you want to start using 4K. Very, very, very disappointed with Canon on this. Started out with Canon. I built my current career on the G7X Mark II. That's how I got my first job. It was when I showed them videos that I made on that thing. And this is just a huge, let me get out of the street, huge letdown, huge letdown. And anyone who buys this and it doesn't really use it for video outside of within the return period, they're not going to know to return it. So warning, heads up, return this thing. They should honestly just recall it at this point. Either that, or they should just release a firmware update that actually disables the 4K or whatever it is that's causing the overheating, because it is not usable as is. This is not a final product. If this were a beta product, I'd understand it, but it's not a beta product. It's not a Kickstarter project. It's a camera that was sold in stores for $750 to a bunch of people who are expecting to have access to a camera with the listed features without any real issues. The fact that it didn't even make it to the 10-minute record limit is absurd. That being said, check out this video where I started off as a fan of this camera. What's up, guys? Topic for discussion today is the new Canon G7X Mark III, which I think is somewhere here. And now you can kind of see why I want to get something with a front-facing screen, because I've got the Fuji X-T3 and I have absolutely no idea what I'm looking at. This video is going to be edited on a 24p timeline, and kind of important to mention because we don't have 24p on the G7X Mark III. Really weird marketing tactic. I think the reason why they're doing it is because they're trying to upsell people on interchangeable lenses, but that's really two very different demographics. And here is the camera. So you've probably watched like 20 other G7X Mark III videos. Now a lot of those videos have kind of bashed the camera, but realistically what you're getting for the price is an all-in-one package, and it's really not that bad. The autofocus, yeah, it's not face detection, but we've dealt with contrast autofocus for a long time, and I've never really had any problem with the G7X Mark II. Now, as you can see here, the benefits of having a front-facing screen are that you can actually check your exposure. It already focused in on the X-T3. It looks pretty good here. So I'm going to be recording the rest of this video on this thing. If I have to jump back to the X-T3 for any reason, I will. But I've got it rigged up on small rig. Unfortunately, doesn't have a cage just yet. So this is my little gimbal handle, and I'm using the wireless lav just to kind of avoid like having it at a weird angle and getting some weird audio, or having a shotgun mic miss me. Otherwise, that's usually my preferred microphone of choice. So we're going to switch over to it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, and now we're on the G7X Mark III. Image quality to me looks really good. Autofocus, yeah, again, not phase detection, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And honestly, for the most part, I do like how the manual focus is on this one. It's pretty easy to learn how to use, and I think if most cameras were you had a little button that you could tap up or down with some really heavy focus speaking like you do on this thing, a lot more people would probably be using manual focus. Well, like I said, I'm going to be editing this on a 24p timeline, but this lowest you can get it to is if you switch over to PAL and you shoot at 25p. Absolutely no idea why they've opted to do this. And for a guy who uses multiple cameras in what he does, this potentially just kind of limits, yeah, crazy person talking on the camera. This potentially limits my ability to use this camera with everything else. Predominantly this thing, although I do use like a cell phone when I have to. It's not that big of a deal, but it's really nice to have a faster lens, which the RX100 Mark VII is not going to have. It's going to have that f2.8 lens and built-in ND filters. On the RX100 Mark VI, I did have an external ND filter set up, but it's bulky, it's more things to carry. And once someone comes out with a competent cage so we can actually mount our audio devices on, this will be easier to lug around than it is right now. Stabilization also on the Canons have always been better than the Sonys. And this is specific to the point and shoot cameras. The stabilization on all the RX100s are horrendous. Horrible, all around. All right, let's set that autofocus up. Ooh. Man, I'm trying to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, but this is taking a few too many seconds right now to set focus. Are we focused? Still soft focus. Yikes. There we go. Ooh. Okay. Valid point. It's just kind of annoying to use the manual focus right now, but for any talking head stuff, it's never been an issue. on the Mark II. Mark III, I haven't tested it yet, but I don't see why it would be. The contrast autofocus, not a deal breaker for me. The biggest issue was the limitation of the frame rates that were made available. How you doing? The fact that they opted to not put in 24 frames per second is really just a weird marketing move on their part. And I know it was an attempt to upsell a lot of people on the interchangeable lens cameras. But realistically, if I'm looking to buy a point and shoot, it's because it's compact. A person who's in the market for a point and shoot camera is not going to be in the market for an interchangeable lens system to invest in a body and lenses and a bag and all that stuff. So I don't know why they would take the most common feature out of every camera for the last decade and remove it. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, what I'm going to do is when I edit this video is I'm going to see if I can really notice that much of a difference on the, I mean, there's going to be some different motion blur. I don't know if it's going to be something I'll be able to pick up on, but we'll be able to tell essentially the difference between the 24p going in on the Fuji X-T3, how's it going, and the 25p setting that they've included with the Canon G7X Mark III. Looking at this now, I guess I'll be able to tell when I'm actually at the computer, but really impressed with the stabilization so far. Not impressed with the focus drift. Maybe I'll take a video later just to show you guys the focus peaking and manual focusing option you can do on the G7X, which if you ever are doing a talking head video, you probably should have it set to, I mean, this thing has great autofocus, but if I'm doing a talking head video, I set it to manual focus because autofocus, no matter how good it is, will hunt at some point in time. A couple of the other features that are really nice to have with this is the fact that you do have that 24 to 100 range. And that's, you know, if it's in your pocket, it's got that digital zoom, don't use that, that's garbage. Excuse me. Ooh, what is this? An overheat warning? No video. Uh-oh. Looks like I might be losing you guys in a second. Let's go back wide. What is this? Let me take this off with the Fuji. Yeah. This must be the overheat warning that everyone was talking about. Huh. Now that is a damn shame. Let's stop this up a little bit. So it's only been 5 minutes and 20 seconds and I'm already getting the overheat warning on this. Now, this is problematic for a number of reasons. If you're talking about, people are going to shoot predominantly short form content with this camera, but how's it going? But if it can't even stay on for about 6 minutes, this is probably an issue they're going to have to address through firmware. Always fun to run into people just walking on the path. Wow, yeah, that focus. Let me see if I can actually switch it to manual focus right now. Yep, there we go. And here we go. So with manual focus, you pretty much just set it. You can see the focus peaking and your hunting is gone for the most part. Now what I'm not entirely certain is what this beeping symbol is, and it might actually mean that the camera is getting kind of hot. I don't know if it's going to turn off. How you doing? But what's up, guys? Good birds today?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Solid. But Looks like we're not going to make it to the 10-minute marker before it gets forced to shut down. I'm going to keep running this until we actually get either the shutdown warning or, we complete the 10 minutes. But the fact that the camera is actually getting really hot right now, it means that all those complaints you read online are, they're pretty valid. And it shut down. The camera, it overheated after about 7 minutes. Yikes. How's it going?
Great, how you doing today?
Fantastic. I've never had a camera crap out on me like this. That's kind of crazy. Okay, so it still has that overheat warning on. That is going to be a big problem for a lot of people. Whoa, and there it goes. We have a problem. It's been about 10 minutes and I can't get this thing to stay on for more than a minute. Got to switch this around because I wasn't planning on vlogging with it today. So there's a lake here that's about a 10-minute walk from the parking lot, and that's where I was going to do all the testing. We're not making it there. That's crazy. This is a huge problem. I thought I was gonna, I came here and I was pretty sure I was gonna be advocating, hey, the camera isn't anywhere near as bad as people have been making it out to be, but that is clearly not the case. Does it It's on now, and it still has the overheat warning. Makes me wonder if it overheats in 1080p too, or what. Yeah, shocker. No, this is going back to the store for me. I had my gripes with the RX 107 when it came out, but at least you can use it. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Ew. Well, 7 minutes. Yeah, it's a good time for some things to last, but not for a camera. Can't even meet its 10-minute record limit. That's kind of crazy. I'm actually going to box this thing up right when I get home and just ship it back to Adorama because it's essentially useless. This is a $750 brick. Probably going to be a money loser for Canon because I can't imagine anybody who's really going to tolerate this. And it is a damn shame, man. The build quality on this is solid. The ergonomics are a hell of a lot better than the Sony. And of course the audio input, which is why so many people are looking at it. But 7 minutes, it's not even a hot day here. Let's see if that symbol's gone. Well, after about 10 minutes, at least the warning's gone, but can't do it, man. That is a tragedy. All right, my official opinion on the G7X Mark III is unfortunately to skip it because it is not what you're looking for, no matter who you are, evidently. Hurts me to say it, Canon. Yeah, losing daylight out here, but that's it. That's the end of the video. And again, damn shame. Feels great in the hands, but it's, again, $750 brick. Get rid of it. Maybe save up another $500 for the Sony and just deal with the lower light. I don't know.